To this UKIBC video. I'm delighted today to be joined by Meghna, who is the MD at Space Matrix. Space Matrix are one of our newest members, and obviously all of our people are really interested to know a little bit more about Space Matrix. So Meghna, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about what you do?
Great, thank you for having us. We're really excited about this one. Space Matrix has been around since 2001. And in the last couple of years, our biggest agenda has been ensuring that we do unique workspaces for our clients, which have positive impact on their growth rate.
Okay.
Now, in the last couple of years, what we've observed is that we started as a very small organization in a very small city called Singapore. And as we grew, our clients actually expected us to do more and more. So now we are 600 employees
Wow.
from 11, and we are doing 100 cities through our 15 locations. So in terms of the organization, it's a family-run kind of establishment. But the kind of work we are doing really has brought a lot of joy to our clients. And that's a little bit about Space Matrix.
Amazing. And I guess over that journey, you must have seen a lot of changes then in the office space, in the office environment. Obviously, we've had COVID as well, the hybrid working. So what are you sort of seeing as the major changes that have happened over the last 5 years, and perhaps what you guys see as being the sort of the next 5 years of evolution as well?
Right, that's a very interesting question. If we think about the history of workspaces, it all started with being very employer specific.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a workhorse kind of model. It then moved into a zone which was an outcome based approach, which is an employer and an employee based model. And now what we are seeing is more focused towards employee centric,
Yeah.
which means that we're more interested in attracting and retaining the best talent.
Yeah.
And then that forms the basis of the kind of environment the best minds need. So that change has really come about fairly quickly since COVID, because through COVID, we observed the change in the dynamics of how we work. We originally used to come and work to do what we were supposed to focus on and then move on to be able to focus on our collaborative aspirations as two people. Now, what we are seeing is that the focus is really on why are you here today in the office? What are you really trying to achieve today? So essentially, what's happened is workspace is now the hardware, and workspace is now the operating system. So that evolution got accelerated through COVID. Having had that change happen so quickly, as we think about the future, it's more and more employee centric, because once we are able to bring people back to work, we also have to think about how do we ensure that they remain attracted to the work and to the space. The other aspect of this is that when COVID hit us, we all started getting detached from the culture of an organization because many of us were working from home. As we came back to the office and we started hiring people, we weren't seeing everybody every day.
Yeah.
So the problem we had was that you had people who've come in just a couple of days ago, and then a couple of people who've been there for months, and a few at years level. All of these people are experiencing culture in very different ways. And because you're not there together, how do you actually get about the cultural movement? How do you feel attached to an organization? So the next step is always going to be cultural alignment and employee centricity. I don't think we can move away from that. We're just going to keep evolving deeper and deeper into it.
Okay, that's really, really fascinating. And as you say, as people start to come back on that hybrid model, creating that collaborative space as well is really important. I guess, you talked a little bit there about sort of talent attraction, and obviously, a lot of talent now is looking at that sort of sustainable piece. They really want to work for businesses that have that sustainability built into their ethos. Are you guys now starting to see that coming through in terms of your clients, in terms of their fit out, using sustainable materials, thinking about the sustainability of that product?
So what we've observed is employers have got three key agendas. The first one is ESG, which is the overall sustainability initiative or the organization's carbon footprint. For example, you have different sectors. You've got the energy sector, you've got, the telecom sector, and you've got technology, so to speak. each one has a carbon footprint they need to manage. So the first aspect is ESG. The second aspect is the cost saving aspect, because as human beings, we've become very wasteful.
Yes,
So,
we have.
all of us talk about how much food are we throwing away at the end of the day? How are we being efficient? What about the wastage on construction sites?
Yeah.
How do we ensure that all of that remains sustainable? So cost efficiencies come into sustainability as well.
Yeah.
Previously, we used to detach sustainability from cost, but right now, I can't imagine doing a project which is not efficient, not only from the perspective of conception, which is capital cost expenditure,
Yeah.
but also from the perspective of operational cost spending. So, cost has gone into all of these aspects. And the third aspect is the enhanced well being aspect, ensuring that you are comfortable in your work environment. The element of biophilia, all of us are going into tall skyscrapers. How do you then feel like you belong in a space which is essentially sometimes a glass box?
Yeah.
How do you feel like you can bring out the best of yourself? In the cases of some people, you prefer focused work. You like to work alone, you need that focused environment. Whereas in cases of some other people, we like the chatter.
Yeah.
We just feel better and more relaxed when we are around people of our kind. So it's very important to give a balanced environment to be able to get the most out of that person.
Yeah.
So they feel as if they've had a fulfilled day at work. Because let's face it, we are spending so much time at work, it's inevitable. So if I had to sum up the sustainability initiative, it's ESG for the organizations.
Yeah.
It's cost from being efficient.
Yeah.
And it's enhanced well-being for us to be able to do our best.
No, that's really interesting. I think sort of, my background doing a lot in sort of urban planning was really interesting because it wasn't always the lowest price, but actually the best value, and sometimes paying more for those sustainable materials that are going to last a lot longer, actually of the lifetime, is obviously more beneficial. And you sort of touched on it before, but obviously, as you say, we are spending more time in work. We need obviously that balance. Different people want different environments. So obviously, how do businesses go around ensuring that they are attracting the right talent through that brand? Often the office is the first thing somebody will see in an interview, and it can really make a statement to them. And more importantly, how do we ensure that we're retaining that talent? Because obviously that's, it's a very expensive, you're trying to recruit new people. So how can you sort of build that into an office design?
So one of the things we've observed with new team members joining organizations, you recruit from universities.
Yeah.
You recruit from your competitors. And you also recruit top talent sometimes at leadership levels.
Yeah.
These aspects for any companies inevitable. When you do that, they come from varied cultural experiences at home as well as previous organizations. So one of the first things you want to do is make them feel as comfortable as possible when they enter your work. HR play a very important and beneficial role in this because it was called human resources, but it was never human resources.
That's true.
And previously, human resource heads, CHROs and CEOs, would just say, well, that's our headcount, go ahead and hire. Now it's about, that's the talent we're looking for, let's go find them. There's a very sensitive shift in even that one sentence.
Yeah.
When you think about hiring the best talent, you want to give them the environment that they can perform the best in, as we were speaking earlier. So we need to make sure that the design of a space is human-centric, reflecting of the culture, and also is as flexible as possible for different mindsets. So if I walk into a workplace today when I'm going to be interviewed, I am thinking about, when I walk in, am I being able to feel the brand presence? Does that reflect what I knew of them online? Because my first study is a desktop study. So once I've done my desktop study, I'm going in to be able to see whether I can feel the brand. The next is the conversation with the person who's actually hiring or interviewing, which means you need to create an environment where they can have a conversation which is more comfortable and one-on-one, kind of
Yeah.
like the conversation you and I are having.
Yeah.
It's very important to feel comfortable and relaxed. Now, this is down to very basic things like the lighting, the size of the room.
Yeah.
Am I feeling too small? Am I feeling too big? How is the space making me feel? And the feeling has now surpassed what the actual conversation is. So there's a shift in mindset on design. So when we talk to CEOs and CHROs, the conversation now is about, can we come and do an observation study of your space?
Okay.
So we are
Really interesting.
able to absorb how people are moving within their space, how are they behaving, what are the kind of conversations people are having, how do they use the space at different hours of the day, and then understand what is actually working for them.
Well, that's really interesting. I think that's the key takeaway for me there is that flexibility that's really needed with office place. And obviously technology is now a really important part of that office, whether that's obviously collaborating through video calls or, obviously making sure that people can share information as well.
Yeah.
So what sort of, are you seeing that technology as being a real enabler for sort of, the office space of the future, or is it sometimes hindering? Because I think trying to get that balance right is
Yeah.
really, really challenging, isn't it?
I mean, that's a great question, Chris. One of the biggest issues we were facing with technology was earlier technology was just, can I put on my mic? Can the opposite person see me? Are they able to hear me okay?
Yeah.
Now, with many of us working flexi hours or even coming to work to do certain focused collaborative exercising, technology has taken a front seat.
Yeah.
And all of our techie people are holding their head high and feeling very proud
Absolutely,
because their
absolutely.
time has come.
Yeah.
From my perspective, technology has plays a very important role from the time you enter an organization or you come to an office. So the first thing I'm thinking is, am I taking my car in today? Am I going to bicycle? Am I taking the tube?
Yeah.
For example, when I come into work, will I have a parking spot? So technology now allows you to book a parking spot well in advance before you come to the office.
Yeah.
The second aspect of technology is that it gives you two very unique options. The options are, as a user, how I want to experience the space, and as a visitor, how I want to experience the space.
Okay.
Those are two different things. If I'm a new person who's come in for a meeting, technology plays a very seamless role of how I come into the office. The receptionist greets me.
Yeah.
Or you fill in a form. If it's a large office, you're able to find your wayfinding on your mobile.
Yeah.
They take details on what kind of coffee you like. And the next time I come in, all of that is set up for me, which is brilliant. So from a visitor standpoint, technology can really make this seamless because there was a time when technology made people very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you came in and you'd have to log in and put in all these details and they asked you all these security questions and people were frisking you and checking your bags.
Yeah.
From that, technology has become a passive observer, which is great because you're still gathering the same data, but you're only doing it in a way that's not, offensive to the visitor. From the perspective of a user, what's really good with technology is once you've set yourself up, you've got very few gateways to get to your end location. So you've got facial recognition systems which take you in.
Yeah.
You go in, you know where your desk is. If you're hot desking, it gives you the option of choosing a desk. If I like a window, I'm going to be able to get that. If I want to work inside, if it's a tourist day, you can do that. That option is available. When you're booking your rooms, it's become easy. One of the fundamental things is what's happening to everybody is a technology overload because none of us were prepared for it.
That's true.
And now
That's
that
true.
we've got all of this technology to us, we've got the anti-problem. Everyone's nervous because there's too much. So what we really do is we've got in-house technology consultants who actually integrate everything for you.
Okay.
And really it's the integration
Yeah.
that's really helping rather than all of the gadgets, so to speak, or the apps that we are flooded on our phones with. So integration is the key, I feel.
So getting all the technology to talk to each other. I think you made a really good point. I know like a lot of the offices that I go to now, you get sent a QR code. As soon as you go in, you don't even have to enter any more details in. I think one of the best experiences I had here in central London, which was a little bit scary at the time, but was phenomenal. I walked into one of our law firm members' offices and instantly they greeted me. They knew who I was as soon as I walked in. Obviously, it's come up on their screen, what time, a picture of me, they know who I am. Yeah, really fascinating how that's really making that efficient.
And to be honest, what you will notice is, and forgive me for saying this, but Asia's always been at the forefront of technology.
Yeah.
So everything you experience now in Europe or in the States was actually experimented, tried, and tested in Asia first, which means that we are refining as we go along.
Yeah.
So every time you do a workspace, which you have set up well abroad, we are learning from that data, but actually we've got our own data generated because there are certain cultural nuances which you have to keep in
Of
mind.
course, yeah.
Culture of a country plays a very important role in how you feel comfortable or not. So it's very important for people to be inclusive. So if I, for example, wear a headgear or I'm wearing a hijab, you can only see my eyes.
Yeah.
So it's very important for me to feel comfortable that I don't have to take the entire attire off to be recognized.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is technology is constantly learning and we're updating it in Asia. Personally, I feel faster than anywhere else, purely because it's a more inclusive culture, because of the influx of a lot of global people into Asia now.
Yeah, and it's really important to bring in those cultural sensitivities as well, isn't it? And the whole part of inclusivity that all those businesses are trying to bring forward.
Right.
Excellent. Listen, Meghna, thank you so much for your time today. It's been delightful to talk to you and looking forward to chatting again in the future.
Thank you so much. Look forward to it.